Okay. I think we did it. I'll leave that playing for a second while I wait for people to get here. Hello, everyone. Good to be here again. This is going to be a great presentation, I hope. I'm excited about what I'm going to share with you guys. And I'm not sure how many to expect, so I'm going to give you just a minute or two to begin filtering on. I see that you're here. Please say hello when you get here. Some people are going to have to, I'm not sure exactly how it works. StreamYard should give you some instructions about how to, I'm not sure, but there's something you need to do so that when you make comments, especially through Facebook, that I can see your name. Otherwise, it just says Facebook user. So if you could do that, if you can figure that out, great. If not, don't worry about it. And I see we've got 3 people here. So I'm glad you guys are here, whoever you may be. Say hi in the comments. And I would love to just give you a quick introduction to what this course is going to be about today. We're going to be about 20 minutes, give or take. And this program is called 2 Steps to a Life That You Love. Okay? Now, this is going to make more sense for those of you who have been around this before. You know that it could seem very complicated, almost daunting or overwhelming to really create an awesome life. So I'm going to tell you, I've got it down to 2 steps. So it's really simple. Simple doesn't necessarily mean easy, right? But it's simple. You'll see for yourself. Hey, Angela. All right. So look, I'm assuming that you're here because there's some part of you that's wanting to make life better for yourself, for your family, for the planet, right? Now, if you're like me, this probably isn't your first rodeo, right? Meaning that you've probably read lots of books or attended a bunch of courses or watched a bunch of YouTube videos, something, right? Looking for real, actionable solutions that not only make sense, but that actually translate into positive changes in your life, sustainable changes that, it's not like the pump that you get from some big, like a Tony Robbins seminar, but then a week later you feel like the same thing. And I'm not putting down Tony. I'm just saying it's got to go deep. Transformation is not the same as just, a peak experience. So, unfortunately, a lot of these solutions that people find themselves chasing after, they don't really live up to their promises, right? They somehow fall short of our expectations. Ask me how I know that, right? So what I'm going to share with you today is definitely simple. It might even be boring. Now, that's because when you really begin to understand and apply the ideas that I'm going to share with you here, it's going to eliminate so much of the drama that many of us have been taught or conditioned is part of the growth process. Again, ask me how I know that. So in the very first of this ongoing series of live streams, hey, Kathleen, that I did, I introduced the idea to you that there's really just one key shift that you need to make to absolutely heal your past. Now, I use that language a bit provocatively, quite honestly, because I don't believe that you ever really need to focus on your past, because it doesn't exist anymore. You know what I'm saying? So the point really is to show you a simple method for resolving the need to form your identity based on past experiences, whether conscious or unconscious. Now, why is that important? Okay, why do you think it will be useful or important to free your identity or sense of self from the past? Give me some answers, if you could, in the chat. I'll give you guys a moment. Just see what comes to your mind. Why is it important to free yourself, your sense of self, your identity from the past? And while you guys are thinking about your answers, I'm going to tell you how I see it, okay? Essentially, what I'm saying is tying your identity to your past is like creating a filter through which you see your experiences, right? Exactly what Angela just said. It changes how you perceive the now. Okay, now, if your identity was created largely based on challenging experiences, and newsflash, by the way, they were, then you're going to continue to see and respond to life through that filter. Now, that filter could be fear, not belonging, unworthiness, shame. Okay. Believe it or not, there's only about a half a dozen variations on the really foundational stories that we all make up that like form the basis of our identities. Okay. So no matter how successful we become, no matter how much money we make or stuff we end up accumulating, if you're still operating from this identity, we're going to still see life through that filter of unworthiness or shame or whatever it may be. Okay. So Kathleen says being bound by the past limits your present and your future. Exactly. Right. So no matter how great your life looks on the outside, you're still going to experience yourself as unworthy. Get it? So if your true goal in life is to be happy, as I believe it ultimately is for everyone, then you got to see that this current identity isn't going to take you all the way to happiness. Okay, this current identity, which in essence was created out of fear and insecurity. Okay, can you see how that might just get in the way of your happiness? All right, now I know that might sound crazy, but check it out in your own life. Have you ever noticed that certain patterns or certain feelings keep repeating in your life? Well, how's that been working out for you, right? See, I'm committed to absolutely straight talk in this group. So you may not always like or even agree with what I say, but I promise I'm going to share with you as honestly as I can. So yeah, there's no solution to the suffering out there in the world. That's just not how it works. I'm sorry. But the good news is that there's only one thing, one critical thing that needs to change in order for you to experience the most amazing sense of peace, of clarity, of freedom. And that is that you need to be able to wake up to who you really are. Beyond this created identity, the false self that's based on challenges or traumas from your past. Okay? That's just the way it works. Now, that may sound a little or maybe even a lot kind of woo-woo. I get it. I want to talk about what this really means today, because the other thing today is that I don't want you to accept one word of what I say based on belief. Okay, I want to invite you to just sort of let yourself experience what I'm pointing to here as deeply as you can. Just stay open and notice whatever you notice. Now, please understand that this isn't about your mind or your intellectual understanding. The best thing that your mind can do in this kind of a situation is just to get the heck out of the way. But if you sort of just relax your mind a little bit, you may find that there's something much deeper just on the other side of your thinking. Or, as Bruce Lee said in what I consider to be his best movie, I like Bruce Lee, he said it's like a finger pointing to the moon. So you don't want to focus on the finger, because then you miss out on all the heavenly glory. In other words, what the finger is pointing to. So don't get caught up on my words here, right? Which just like the pointing finger. Try to look where the finger is pointing, where the words are pointing, right? So let's begin with an exercise. What we want to do here is we're going to try and give you a glimpse of who you really are, of your true self. So we're going to do a little experiment. Now, I'm going to ask you to point again this time. This time I want you to do the pointing, and I want you to point to some objects in your nearby environment. I can point to my computer. I can point to the wall. I can point to the chair I'm sitting on. And notice that you are distant. It appears that you are separate from what you're looking at. You see things out there in the world. You see objects. You direct your attention at these things by pointing at them. Okay? I can also see colors in the room, right? the white door, the colors of the Van Gogh print on the wall. I can see my pointing finger. You notice that all of these objects have certain qualities, color, shape, size, etc. So, in all of these instances, your attention is focused outward. Now, I want you to point to where others see your face. Now, what do you see? I mean, don't look in a mirror or on your cell phone screen or something. What do you see? See, now what's happening is you're looking inwards. You're turning the direction of your attention 180 degrees around from the objects out there to you, the subject, to the place that you're looking out of. Take a moment and let that shift happen for you. Now, other than maybe a little smudge of your nose or something, do you see your face? And remember, even from this perspective that I'm offering, even the nose is, you're looking outward at your nose. Look from the perspective of the looker itself. Do you see anything from that perspective in here? Is there any color or shape or movement in here? So when I'm looking into the place where others see my face, I find no color or shape in here. I find, in fact, boundless capacity or awareness on this side of my pointing finger. This capacity is empty, clear, transparent. It is evidently awake and aware. Just check that out in your own experience. Notice that there's nothing to do. It's just shifting your perspective. Now, at the same time that I feel this awake, empty space in here, I could see that within that space, it could become full of everything happening inside it. My finger, my view of the scene out there, apparently out there, okay? Sounds, feelings. But I'm seeing all those now from the perspective of who I really am. Seeing, in essence, the boundless one at the very heart of myself, the one in whom which the world is happening. So let that really settle into you for a moment. It's a shift, isn't it? Like your ego is going to keep trying to pull your attention out. I want you to keep your attention on the looker and notice what it does for you here. Do you notice that there's almost an immediate sense of peace, of stillness? So what do you find? Give me some answers in the comments, please. Do you also have that experience of looking out from this wide open, crystal clear awareness? Do you notice a little bit of the peace or stillness? I'm going to give you a moment. By the way, just because Facebook algorithms love this stuff, if this is working, if this is making sense to you, throw some hearts or some likes up on there too, because Facebook likes that stuff. It'll help more people to see this presentation. So hopefully, that little exercise, Kathleen said stillness, awesome. That little exercise gives you a brief glimpse of the you behind the normal conditioned you that you sort of habitually operate from. Hopefully you experienced a bit of peace or expansiveness. Maybe your mind got a little quieter. And I want you to begin to see that that peace is who you are. Angela says it's very hard to explain the feelings, vulnerable and safe. I love that. I do. I love that's perfect, actually. I wish we had time more to go into exactly what I see there, but that's really nice. To begin to see that every thought, every sensation, every perception occurs within you, but it isn't you. This is the shift, the one shift that changes everything. just by virtue of the fact that you are the space in which all your experience occurs, you could begin to see that it occurs within me. And if it occurs within you, then it can't be you. Can you see that? Can you see that? It's very, very important to begin to understand that shift. So again, the first step to creating an awesome life, a life of freedom, of peace, of happiness for no reason, right? Not happiness that's dependent on some external circumstance, but happiness that bubbles up from inside of you. Joy. This is the result of this gradual shifting of your identity, of how you identify from the one that you created out of fear and insecurity towards your true self. And yes, this shift will take some time for most of us. But seriously, what's more important than this? Because I would suggest that what we want more than anything in life is happiness and peace and freedom. We've just been conditioned to think that all that stuff out there, right? The car, the money, the relationship, is what will make us happy. But again, I'll ask you, how's that been working for you? So what if you could start with happy? What if your happiness wasn't at issue because you were deeply grounded in your true self? Then we get to step 2 of my diabolical plan. Step 2 is simply called create your game. You see, when you don't have to try to get your happiness from achievements or possessions anymore, we can create life as a game. Now, at some future point, I'm going to do an entire live stream on this topic of creating life as a game. But here's the short version for now. Okay. First, someone tell me again in the comments, please, what is the essence of a game? What do I mean when I say create your game? Give me a couple of answers in the comments. I'm going to give you guys a second because I'm really curious what you have to say. And I'm going to let one more person into this broadcast that's waiting. Where is it? There she is. Awesome. All right. There's one. Angela gave the answer, but I think Angela already knows the answer, so thank you. Exactly. Angela says she made it up. And Bobby's here. Hey, Bobby. Bobby says game equals play and fun. You guys, exactly. Okay? So here's my answer. Okay? Both of you guys, between the two of you, really nailed it. The essence of a game, as I define it, is that you made it up. Okay? You made up or agreed to, if it's maybe a game that you're playing with other people, what winning and losing look like. Okay? Now, when you really see that, and you can only see this like in your bones, when you realize this first step, that your happiness no longer depends on winning or losing, right? When you realize that you made up what winning and losing looks like, because your happiness is already taken care of in here, you see? So there's nothing you need to do. You just play. You are free, as Bobby says, to play. Maybe for the first time in your life since you were a child. Now, next week, I'm going to talk more about games and the secret to understanding the difference between games that come from your head and games that come from your heart. But that's really all I want to share for today. Just this one simple thing. There's 2 steps, right? The title of this presentation is 2 things, 2 steps, whatever it was, to creating a life that you love. You know what they are now? Step 1, remember who you are. And I emphasize, remember who you are. There's nothing to do. There's nothing, you don't have to learn who you are, right? You don't have to find out in a book. Books are fine in this regard if they're actually pointing you back to yourself. But there's nothing you need to add to who you already are. So it's remembering who you are, or recognizing who you are already happy, already peaceful, already clear, already free. This is key. Now, from that point of knowing that your happiness, your peace, your freedom doesn't depend on anything outside of you, now you create a game in the world, whatever game you want to create. Because your happiness no longer depends on the outcome. So you play just for the sheer joy of playing. Now that may sound, to some of you, like to your ego or whatever it may be, that may sound impossible. And if it does, I get it. It certainly would have to me at one point. And I want to tell you that you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to do this all by yourself. I know that feeling, a feeling like, like the Lone Ranger, whatever you want to call about it. I was the guy that never really wanted to accept help on the path. I wanted to figure it all out myself for some dumb reason. Well, I'm here to tell you that when I finally allowed myself to find teachers, mentors, coaches who could help me see my own blind spots, I began to move at what comparatively felt like warp speed. Now, somebody, it says Facebook user agrees. Thank you for that. And let me know who you are if you don't mind. If I had any regrets at this point, it would be that I waited so long. That would be it, So my entire professional life is about creating games and opportunities for you guys to really to allow me to support you, and for ultimately all of us to support each other in waking up more and more deeply to our true selves. Okay? This is like huge. Look, I'll say this much about the world, and this is not meant to be political or anything like that. I just turned 58 years old about a week ago. And in my 58 years on this planet, I don't recall ever seeing things as crazy, as divisive, as polarized as I see today. And I could give you all my theories for why that is, but it really doesn't matter, okay? My point is, I can only in my mind see one solution, just one. Now, I'll give you a hint. It's nothing that the people out there are telling us that it is, okay? It's nothing outside of us that's going to solve what I see needs to change. And that simple solution is what we just spent the last 20 minutes talking about. It's waking up to who we are, to the peace, the freedom, the stillness, the compassion in ourselves that we can then share with the world, okay? Because just by the glimpse that you got today on this in this live, that shift in who you are ripples out into the world. It does. And that shift is the only thing that's going to really change this world. When enough of us create enough of these ripples that they begin to become the dominant frequency on the planet. Because if you look at the frequency on the planet right now, it ain't peace, is it? Now, here's the funny part. I won't get into this too much now, but what I like to say is that it's all love in disguise. In other words, everyone is love at our core. But it gets covered up by the ego, this identity that we've been talking about. And then you don't experience yourself as love. You experience yourself through this lens of fear or shame or unworthiness. And then you act that out in the world. And God, almost infinite ways that we can do that. And you look around, you can see examples of it everywhere. So I created a group. It actually, sorry for the late notice, but it starts tomorrow. We have one space left at the time of this live. And it's 12 weeks long. It's going to be designed to do exactly these two steps that we spoke about here, to help you wake up, to create a foundation of yourself, your identity as your true self. And from there, to begin to learn the tools. We have very interesting, very unique tools to help people create their game in life. We call that mastery. And mastery, to me, the way I define it, is mastering the invisible forces that shape your life, which I think is just cool as hell. But the only real way to effectively play the game in mastery is to first wake up to who you are, right? I keep saying that over and over because it's super important. So a couple of last minute logistics about that. The course starts tomorrow, 12 o'clock Central Time. There's one space left. Other thing, the fee for this course is way less than I'm going to charge in the future. This has already been set up. Everyone, has been promised a certain fee, so it's not going to change for any of you who are enrolled or for the last one who you may want to enroll, because I'm limiting it. The course is going to have a cap of 8 people, so there's one spot left. So whoever, if any of you or the other invitations that I put out choose to fill that last space, you get the same fee. But if you decide to do it next time, it's going to be more, considerably more. So I just want to make that clear. It's not a sales tactic, it's just reality. So I want to make sure if you're on the fence, maybe this will help you make that decision. Think of it like an early bird special because, it's going to go up. So anyway, and if you're into that, drop me a comment or send me a personal message or something, and I'll, myself or Angela will get back to you. Okay. So I think that's it. I always want to tell you guys how much I appreciate you letting me share this with you. Please, if you're listening to this live, I get a sense of who's here. If you haven't said hello yet, please say hello and give me your name if you haven't registered. Otherwise, I'll just assume your name is Facebook user. And if you're watching this on the replay, just give me like a hashtag replay thing. I'd love to hear your impressions of this message. And again, I really appreciate your being here because this is what I love to do. I love to share this stuff with you. And I really do believe it's my purpose to be here and help people to see this. So if anything I said resonates for you, I'm going to be back next week and every week. Somebody says, hi Facebook user. So we'll be doing these lives every week. If you want to jump in the course, there's one spot left. The course is called the Freedom Course. Let me tell you what that means. I have to look it up. Give me 1 second. Maybe you'll think this is cool. I think it's pretty cool. There it is, right there. Freedom. Okay, so freedom is an acronym. It stands for freedom from limitation. Remember who you are. Effortless results. Elevate your game. Deliberate creation. Outcomes that matter to you. Master the game of life. Hey, Nikki. Thank you, by the way, for helping me come up with that. So, that's it. I'm not going to ramble on. It's just about 30 minutes that we've been talking. Again, thanks for being here. Tell a friend if you know somebody you think would find this information valuable. And I'll be back next week to share some more cool shit. Thanks, you guys. Take care.